trophy has a red and gold reflection.
These guys are hungry for more. They want to build a dynasty here.
Believe in each other. Fly around. Let's find a way to win.
And he's going to be hit. Chris Jones got him in a bear hug. Pacheco blasts into the end zone at the 10-5. Leaped to the end zone. Touchdown.
It was just 4 days ago that the Chiefs left Minnesota with their 4th consecutive victory. And now on a short week, it's time for another edition of one of the best rivalries in all of football as the Chiefs take on the Denver Broncos in primetime. We are 2 hours from kickoff. You've waited all week for this very moment. It's finally here. It is time for football in Chiefs Kingdom. Let's do this. My name is Matt McMullen, joined by a voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus. This is Field Pass, presented by StorageMart. And Mitch, these short weeks are tough, but it's always a little bit easier coming off a win.
Absolutely, but it is a quick turnaround, especially for these players. Physically, mentally, emotionally, there's just no way either team can be fully recovered, but you just push through it. But it's also the manifestation of a dream that Lamar Hunt had. He always wanted a third Thanksgiving night game. We got it. The first ever Thursday night game that became what this is was back in 2006. We talked about it on the podcast. So there's some history here tonight, but they beat the Broncos in that first game, by the way, so hopefully they can repeat.
Yeah, we've gone full circle here. These short weeks are brutal, though. You're basically packing 6 days of preparation into 3 days. It helps that we're at home, didn't have to travel yesterday, and I think it's also a benefit that we're playing a divisional opponent here tonight. Now, why is that? Well, one of the many things that makes Coach Reed so special and so incredible at his job, he prepares for these games like during the offseason. He devotes entire OTA practices to divisional opponents. So even though we're on a short week right now, the players and the coaches, they've been thinking about this game since way back in May.
There will be an OTA day. I saw this the very first spring and summer Coach was here. And I thought about how he really kind of dominated the NFC East when he was with Philadelphia. But I saw that an OTA day was Broncos Day, and a minicamp day was Broncos Day, and there was a day at training camp that was Broncos Day. But that's the way Coach is. I said he sleeps like a dolphin, right, half brain at a time. But the half brain that is awake, a quarter of that half brain is division opponents. He thinks about them all year long.
And that strategy works, right? Look at the numbers. Ooh. Since Coach Reed got here in 2013, the Chiefs are 47-13 against the AFC West. Easily the best record for any team against their own division in that span. And since Patrick Mahomes got here and Patrick starts, the Chiefs are 27-3 against AFC West opponents. That doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of immense preparation.
And you look at the 7 years that the Chiefs have been able to win the AFC consecutively. If you go back to 2016, in that span, the Chiefs are 37-5. So it just accentuates those numbers that you've been given. But in Thursday night, there have been some key divisional showdowns. We broke those down on Defending the Kingdom. So, again, Thursday night, a familiar foe, a division foe. There's a lot on the line here.
There sure is. Hopefully, the Chiefs can keep that Thursday night success going here and the AFC West success going against the Denver Broncos squad. And we'll start with their offense because it's significantly better than it was this time last year, particularly on opening drives. So these guys have 27 points on opening drives this season. That's second most in the NFL behind only San Francisco. They've scored a touchdown on 4 of their 5 opening drives this year. And in the game where they didn't score a touchdown on their opening drive, they scored one on their second drive. So these guys are really good early on in games. Conversely, the Chiefs defense has not allowed a single point on opponent opening possessions this season. In fact, they've only allowed a grand total of 77 offensive yards on opening possessions. Something has to give here in this game.
Yeah, and let's give Russell Wilson credit here. He took a lot of criticism last year. His QBR was 29. There were times he was even lower than that, but now he's 4th this year in quarterback rating. He has 11 touchdown passes. 18 completions of 20 yards or more. They're top 7 in the league in that regard. But it's the running backs to me. We'll get into it, I know, more. But Russell Wilson has some weapons here. But those running backs are guys that could influence this game big time.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Russell Wilson for a moment here because you're right. Last year was a bit of a struggle by his standards, his first season in Denver. But he is having a nice start to the year. He's averaging about 250 passing yards per game, 11 touchdowns, like you mentioned, just 2 interceptions. What are your thoughts on Wilson's season here so far?
Well, I think we're seeing some Sean Payton influence here. Sean's background has always been in offense. When you look at his time with the New York Giants and the time with the Dallas Cowboys and then his head coaching tenure with the New Orleans Saints with Drew Brees. You're seeing some of that influence. And I think, too, they're taking in incremental stages. It goes back to the fact that they have targeted throwing to the running backs 34% of the time. That's the highest ratio in the National Football League. So you're taking some of the risk away. Not that they won't take shots. I mentioned the 20-plus plays. But it's really a sequence of bringing Russell Wilson back in Sean Payton's mind to what he was in Seattle. And it starts with the shorter throws and the safer throws.
Sure, it's working so far, at least early on in games. And this Broncos offense does have a lot of weapons on it. Some guys that we're very familiar with, guys like Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. But how about Marvin Mims on this offense? He's a rookie I want to ask you about. He actually leads this team right now in receiving yards with 246. What's interesting, though, he only has 10 receptions. Half of his receptions this season have covered at least 25 yards. He has catches of 60 yards, 53 yards, and 48 yards already this season. He only has 12 targets on the season, so you probably won't hear his name a lot in this game, but when his number is called, the Chiefs have to be ready.
Yeah, he's a home run hitter. Let me take that further. He's only one of 4 players in the league right now that has multiple receptions of 50-plus yards, and here's who he's on the list with. Tyreek Hill, DJ Moore, and Devontae Smith. So that's pretty good company. And then you look at the fact he had a 99-yard kickoff return against the Jets, and you get an indication of his speed. It's electric. And so, yeah, he can get behind a defense, and you got the other receivers who can go underneath, the Suttons, the Judys. But Marvin Mims Jr., second year out of Oklahoma, deserves a lot of attention.
Yeah, these guys have playmakers on their offense. We'll talk about them a bit more a little later. The Chiefs also have playmakers on their offense, though. And for more on this offense and how they can attack Denver here tonight, I caught up with Kaylee Hartung from Amazon Prime Video earlier this week. All right, we're joined now by Kaylee Hartung from Amazon Prime Video. She'll be on the sidelines for tonight's game. And Kaylee, I want to ask you about this Chiefs offense. We know what it can be, has some really good players, and of course it's been so prolific in recent seasons. Still kind of trying to find their groove, I think, this year, but we have seen good things in recent weeks. What are some keys for the Chiefs offense in this game, do you think, to find success against this Broncos defense?
You know, we all know this Broncos defense is struggling. I mean, statistically, they're the worst defense in the league. Obviously, some of those numbers are inflated by that horrific loss they had to Miami. But, you know, Russell Wilson likes to talk about the game-altering plays that the Broncos need to succeed, and that's on offense, defense, and special teams. So I think if the Chiefs offense can make sure that the Broncos defense doesn't get those opportunities, you know, Justin Simmons in the Broncos secondary, he is the only player in the NFL who has picked off Patrick Mahomes 3 times. Patrick Mahomes is aware of that. Justin Simmons is aware of that. So I think if he can stay away from Simmons as well as Pat Surtain, you know, that certainly would be a huge key for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where stats might lie a little bit. Like, as you said, we all know the Broncos defense has struggled on paper, and they had that rough game against the Dolphins. But a lot of the players that helped this defense be one of the best defenses in the NFL last year are still on this team. Guys like Justin Simmons, guys like Pat Surtain, guys like Jose Jewell at linebacker. So I think this defense still has some really good players the Chiefs will need to worry about. The other part of this, one of the strengths, I think, right now of the Chiefs offense is that you can't necessarily look at one guy and say he's going to be the main weapon in this offense. Outside of maybe Travis Kelce, they have weapons everywhere, and every single week it seems to be somebody new. Who's maybe a player or two that you're watching in this game from the Chiefs' perspective who could have a big game here against Denver?
Yeah, this is a game for me that's really fun to prepare for in that sense, because I love being surprised. I love when my post-game interview is with a guy who hasn't yet had that huge moment in the spotlight. When you get to be a part of someone's career high night, it's really special for me to be in that moment with them and trying to get them to talk me through their experience with it. I mean, we just saw Isaiah Pacheco have the best game of his young career. I think that's really encouraging. And I think Patrick Mahomes has been really wonderful praising the different weapons that they have on this offense. As you know, some people have said this isn't Pat Mahomes' best season, right? You're not depending on him to get in the end zone maybe in the way that you have been previously, but when you have so much young talent, it's giving those guys more opportunity to learn and grow through the reps. So yeah, I think there's a really good chance for Isaiah Pacheco to continue to build on what we saw him do 2 weeks ago now. I know that some people would say that last Sunday was sort of a dip in that breakout that we saw from him the week prior. But I mean, that guy plays with so much energy. He has so much heart. I think that this is one of those games where he could really make a huge difference and continue to build. So just based off the phone conversation I had with Pacheco earlier this week, it got me really excited to follow his growth, not just this game, but the rest of his career, again, because of that heart and that energy that he brings that everybody really seems to feed off of, the kind of skill that you can't teach, right? I think he has that. So I'd love to see him finding his holes, running downfield as hard as he does, and, maybe some push-ups, right? When he needs to get his energy back as if it ever dips. But he's such a character, and he's the one I'm really keeping my eye on, hoping to have a great game.
Yeah, he's awesome. I think that's a great choice. You're right. A few weeks ago against the Jets, him back in New Jersey where he grew up, had the best game of his career. He has such an energy and an excitement to him. It's like he's a little kid playing football. And hopefully he can have a huge game here against the Broncos on Thursday Night Football. Kaylee, awesome stuff. Have a great broadcast, and thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks. You too.
All right, great stuff there from Kaylee Hartung. We're joined now by a very special guest. It's Cece Kaiser from the KC Current. Cece, how's it going?
It's going great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Oh,
so,
of course.
First of all, I understand that you went to Blue Valley Northwest, right?
Yes.
Okay, I went to North,
Yeah.
so we're technically
Yeah. So we're rivals. We
yeah.
are rivals.
On the
Don't
UN.
worry, we can keep it cool right now, of course.
But you grew up in Kansas City. Were you a Chiefs fan growing up? And if so, what were some of your favorite memories growing up as a Chiefs fan?
Yeah, I was, obviously. Like, my family's a huge sports family, so grew up watching all the time. And I actually wasn't fortunate enough to go to a lot of games growing up, but the moment I did, it was like, there's no place like Arrowhead. I was just saying jokingly, I was like, my seats are usually way up there, so it is cool to be down here. I feel like I've upgraded. So, yeah, it's definitely awesome. And I actually went to the AFC Championship game back in 2019. Again, way up there, but like that was an unreal experience. My sister and I got to come. We like chose the day of to come out here, and it was like super cold, but what an experience, and Arrowhead's amazing.
That was a good one.
Toughness.
Yeah, I gotta.
So Matt, I
grind it
saw
out.
one left-footed goal, 3 right-footed goals, and 2 headers,
Yeah.
right? For the 6
Wow.
goals, we're
Yeah.
right there. And
got it.
let me ask you about the phenomenon that is now the Current.
Yeah.
It is a phenomenon. You guys had almost 16,000 fans the other night against Chicago.
Yeah.
What about seeing this kind of blossom in front of your eyes?
Yeah, it's incredible. Like I was saying on the way down here that when the team first came and the league first started back in 2013, I actually went to like the home opener when they were playing at, I believe it was Shawnee Mission North.
Okay.
And so it's crazy to see like how much the team
Wow.
itself has grown. Obviously, it's now the Current, and it's just it's incredible. Like that 16,000 people were at our game, and we broke like 4 records this year alone. So you know that it's just going to keep growing, and yeah, just the outpour of love from the community, and everybody's super excited about the Current is just amazing. And it's amazing being a Kansas City girl, just like seeing it all unfold.
Yeah, and the brand new stadium is part of that. It's already beautiful. It's going to be an amazing addition to our city. What's it mean to you that you're part of this right now, where this is the first stadium ever built exclusively for a professional women's team?
Yeah.
You're part of that.
Can you believe that? That's so crazy. I can't believe it's actually happening. That's like an amazing testament to Kansas City and how much that they love their sports teams. And you just feel that love game in and game out. You feel it on the road too. I think our fans travel well, and so yeah, it's going to be really exciting to see that stadium, and just hopefully it's inspiring the next generation of players. I hope that the stadium keeps growing too. You know, we're going to have to start putting more seats in there as well if it keeps growing the way it does. So yeah, it's very exciting. I think it's going to be a beautiful and pristine facility.
It's awesome.
Now, CC, you have something in common with the two of us, and the fact that the Mahomes family is very involved, right?
Yes,
with Brittany and Patrick out here, and
Yeah.
also with you on the pitch. What is it like to have Brittany and Patrick be part of your ownership team?
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I mean, they obviously have a huge name, so it's brought a lot of marketing and stuff to our team, and I think it's just grown. They've helped grow it, obviously, and, you know, Brittany used to play soccer professionally as well, so I think she's just invested in making the league better and making our team better as well. So, yeah, I think that we're all just extremely grateful, and we just can't wait to see it keep growing. Like, this is just a very exciting time.
And Matt, I was at UT Tyler this summer with Patrick and Brittany, and I saw, like, she's a legend down there.
Yeah.
Like statues and everything else.
Yeah.
So
She's a legend up here too. Like when she comes around, we're like, it's Brittany. We're so grateful for you. Like, you're amazing. So yeah, it's definitely been amazing to have them around.
Yeah, whenever I see either of them, I just think to myself, you have no idea all the lives you've impacted. You've changed our lives
like,
forever.
Literally, it's crazy. And like, it's so cool to think that Sterling could one day like be out on that field and like represent as well. So it's super cool. It's super cool to see the growth and the investment that they put in.
For
Just
sure.
make sure you draft her when she's
Exactly. I know. Come on now.
Last question for you. We'll let you go. You're banging the drum here tonight. As a Kansas City native, what's that going to mean to you?
Yeah, it's amazing. I can't believe it's actually happening. Like, I have to give a shout out to Elizabeth Ball and Kristen Hamilton for making this happen. They're two teammates of mine, and they were kind of the ones that snuck my name in there. They were like, Cece's always wanted to do it. And so, yeah, like, amazing that the Chiefs were even open to letting me do this. It's an incredible feeling. I've gotten so many messages being like, you realize you're going to bang the front drum in front of quote Taylor Swift if she's going to be here, if she's going to know who you are. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty exciting. But yeah, I feel very honored and very excited to do it.
Are you nervous at all, or do you feel good?
Maybe a little nervous. I just hope my hands don't get too sweaty. I like lose hold of the little
Have you
drumstick
practiced?
thing. But I have been watching some videos, trying to see what the vibe is, trying to figure out what people do before they go out there.
Have the 45s out? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I'm
that's what I
like,
thought.
yeah. I'm ready to go. I'm like, let's get this going.
Yeah.
Like, come on. And I'm so excited for the game. I love football, so it's great to be here.
Well, have fun tonight. Thanks so much again for joining us, and
Of course.
have a great time. Good luck up there, okay?
Matt, we're coming. We'll be
All
there.
right. I'll see you up there.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, Cece,
Can't
thank
wait.
you.
Thank you.
All right, Mitch. So we'll get the inactives here. Let's see, in a few minutes, hopefully. In the meantime, we were talking about offensive playmakers for the Broncos, and I want to ask you about a rookie running back who leads them in rushing right now, Jaleel McLaughlin. This guy's an undrafted free agent out of Youngstown State, but leads Denver with 160 rushing yards. He's averaging more than 7 yards per carry. Now, he hasn't had a lot of carries, only 22 on the year, but he's seen a real uptick in snaps over the last 2 weeks with Javonte Williams out. Javonte Williams is back, but still, I think just based on how he's played, we're going to see a lot of Jaleel McLaughlin here tonight.
Okay, we brag up on having Isaiah Pacheco, getting him in the 7th round. The Broncos did a really good job of finding Jaleel McLaughlin. He jumps off the video in their game against the Jets. They ran a screen to him. He was electric.
Yeah.
He can get a big run, a 50 or 60-yard run, because he has 4.4 speed. He's a little smaller. Maybe that's why people didn't take him, but I don't know why he wasn't drafted. He's out of Youngstown State. He started originally at the Division II school, and he's really an interesting story. He went through a lot of challenges, much like Isaiah did growing up. In fact, he had to live out of a car with his mom for a while, but I think the Broncos found something here. So the Chiefs must locate, and a lot of pressure on the linebackers in coverage. First of all, to stay home on the zone runs that they run because they've cut them back. 2, then on coverage, whether wheel routes or screens, because if he catches it, he can go the whole distance.
Yeah, I understand the Broncos are 1-4. They have playmakers on this team. The Chiefs have to be ready for it. We'll get the inactives here in about 30 seconds. But before we do, it's discount promo code time. Mitch, all right? And it's a little wonky this week.
It's my favorite part of the show.
How about that? We have 2 of them this week because we're on a Thursday, and normally we turn the page on Friday, so it's a little different. So from tomorrow through the weekend, it is still footballin' on a budget. That will remain the promo code tomorrow through the weekend, footballin' on a budget. Beginning on Monday and then through Friday, it's DTK discount in honor of our podcast, Defending the Kingdom. DTK discount beginning on Monday. Now, there are some rules around this. It's going to be 10% off your order at the Pro Shop at GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium. That offer is not valid on game day, though, or the day before. It cannot be stacked with other discounts. It's in-store only. It does not work online, only here at the Stadium Pro Shop. And it excludes memorabilia, Oakleys, Ray-Bans, and sale items. Still pretty cool, though. 10% off your order.
Does it include Crucial Catch hoodies?
It absolutely does. All the stuff you see us wearing on Field Pass and Defending the Kingdom, all our stuff all week long, that's included. So one more time, Friday through the weekend, footballing on a budget. Tell them when you're checking out, beginning on Monday, it's DTK discount. Here's the inactives, Mitch. We just got them a little bit early today. It's lots of good news for the Chiefs. So the names we were watching, of course, Travis Kelce with that ankle injury. He is active here today. Travis Kelce active with that ankle injury. Great news. George Karlaftis was questionable coming in with a hamstring injury. George is active here tonight. Also great news. Tommy Townsend, a late add to the injury report on yesterday. He was questionable coming in with a left knee injury. Tommy is active. And then Nick Bolton, we knew this already. He didn't have an injury designation coming in, but still great news. Nick Bolton going to play his first game in 4 weeks for the Chiefs. Lots of good news for Kansas City here on the injury report.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, though, all these guys that you just mentioned are pushing through this. I mean, this isn't they're feeling like perfectly healthy. There's not been the recovery time. You don't have Thursday, Friday, Saturday for additional recovery time. Now, the Broncos are missing a couple of guys tonight. including Frank Clark, who's got the illness again, right? It pushed him back with us when he was here. They're also missing DJ Moore in the middle, a big veteran defensive lineman. But for the Chiefs, it's all hands on deck. Everybody that's listed as an inactive is not an injured player, but guys are pushing through this, showing some courage.
Yeah, let's look at the Broncos inactives here briefly. You kind of ran through it. Defensive tackle DJ Jones, he's not going to play.
I'm sorry, DJ Jones.
Yeah, I know who you meant. DJ Jones not going to play here tonight. He's a starter along the defensive line. We didn't really get into the Broncos defense much, but they have struggled quite a bit this year. Not good not having DJ Jones, a good player for them. And you mentioned Frank Clark, an old friend, of course. He's not going to play here tonight with an illness. One guy I was watching was edge rusher Baron Browning. Hurt his knee last year. He's still on the PUP list. He practiced for them this week, but he's not going to play here tonight. We'll probably see him in a few weeks when we play Denver. Baron Browning's a very good player off the edge, but not ready yet tonight. One guy who is going to play for them here tonight is tight end Greg Dulcich. He was activated from IR this morning. Greg Dulcich has a hamstring injury, hasn't played since week 1, but Greg Dulcich back for the Broncos here tonight.
Yeah, it gives them 4 tight ends, tells me they want to establish the run, and then Dulcich has the ability to catch the football. He had 2 catches before the hamstring injury in week 1. He played in only one of the 2 games against the Chiefs last year, but he's somebody you have to account for, particularly when you add in the other guys we mentioned earlier in the show.
Absolutely. And we'll close here with this. Kind of throw out all the stats and numbers and records tonight, right? I don't care about any of that or what's happened so far this season for Denver. This is a divisional game in the AFC West. These games are always tough. The good news for the Chiefs, as we talked about at the top of the show, they are always ready for these games and ready for the challenge of these games. We're going to face 2 more divisional opponents, including the Broncos once again, over the next 2 weeks. This is a stretch for 3 divisional games in 3 weeks. Let's set the tone here tonight with a victory over the Denver Broncos. For Mitch Holthus, I'm Matt McMullen. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Let's go get a victory.